Hi, this is János and Kintaro, and we are sharing today some application notes for the Grande loudspeaker build. And I'm sorry, I said Le Grand, it's La Grande, it's a girl. So one of them is that about the screws. So you see it has the brass screws on the side to hold the front and the back to the side, top, and the bottom. So I received a very astute comment that what we can do is not put them at an equal distance. So I put them, I think was it like every 7 centimeters I put a screw. That's how I did the spacing roughly. But you could do uneven spacing and so that there is no specific resonance mode that's preferred by the equal distancing of the screws. And that's something that I've been playing around with the idea even when I built the voice of Lancelot, and before that when I built the void pipes 20 years ago, but I never implemented it because actually you can go quite nuts trying out which works, which is the optimal placement, and throughout the years I was thinking that the best, most optimal way to find out the screw spacing, if you want to optimize it, is to build it first like this with equidistant screws, and then when it's going, you put on some heavy music, loud music, and check the sides, tap on the cabinet, tap on the front, and where you feel the strongest vibrations, like for example if the strongest vibrations are right there, then here you distance the screws tighter, so then it holds the baffle stronger to the frame. However, that just changes things so much that it might not be a positive change. And I was thinking a lot about it, and also recently I read a paper in Science, and that they analyzed the Stradivarius violin, and they built a computer model to model the sound propagation inside the violin, and basically actually they run like thousands of models, and they found a few that approximated the approximation of the actual geometry, but the conclusion from there was that when you change a single thing, then all parameters change. So in all likelihood, we don't know what we are going to reap when we start messing around with the screw distancing. And what I have noticed that when you would need that, if you have problems with the buffer resonances, and that's when you could do it, but there's a much simpler way to fix those resonances without causing secondary headaches that might arise from the uneven spacing, because when you do the uneven spacing, then those resonance modes will change, and when you have the highest resonances there, if you put more screws here, less screws there, then your stronger resonances might change to another point. So that's why you can get into a loop, a never-ending loop, trying to find the optimal position of the screws. So I just ended up using equidistant screws for all of my builds. And why I'm doing that? Because I'm not noticing any singular frequencies dominating the sound spectrum. So this looks to be a nice recipe. So here basically they are one screw every 7 centimeters, and I think on the big one there's like one screw every 9 centimeters or so. So here I made it tighter because it's a smaller cabinet, and the cabinet is resonating at much higher frequencies. So while the voice of Lancelot cabinet is mainly working in the bass and rolling off at 265 Hertz at, let's say, at the mid-range frequencies, I still have some resonances, but at the high frequencies there's nothing happening, while this little baby is loading the cabinet all the way up to the driver's working range. So that's why you want to go with a tighter spacing. So this is the little application video on how tight you want to do the screws. And let's just move a little bit closer so you can see it better. So the way I put the screws in here is that that 7 centimeter spacing applies to the side. So you see, and then the last one, actually I think it's a little bit more wider. So the last distance, because it's not an equal 7 centimeters on the bottom, I think it's turned out about 8 or 9 centimeters. So that's actually about 1 inch from the bottom, because the very bottom it flares out. So I put it to a spot where it's still strong and wide, and it's not narrowed down yet, for mechanical stability. And here at the top there's also a difference from deviation from the 7 centimeters. So here, this is the end of the side panel. From here you can see it, hopefully. So you see the side panel ends here, and the top panel is on top. It's sitting on top of the side. So here this screw is holding the side panel, and the top screw is holding the top panel. So the top panel is held from the front, so the front baffle is held to the top. Quintero is having some gymnastics there. Those are the noises that you hear. And the top panel is also held down from the top to the side by those 3 screws. And also the front panel, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws on the top, and that's not a 7 centimeter distance. I tightened it up a little bit to be able to fit in a little more screws. Yes, and the distances for the screws is the same in the front and in the back too. And also on the side, when we look at the side, maybe let me see. Can we see? Let me just move a camera here and focus there. Okay, so I hope that you can see on this picture that there are 1, 2, 3 screws, 1, 2, 3 on the side, and those are holding the slot port, the panel of the slot port. And you don't need to do this for the basic build. Those plans that I published a few days ago. You need to do this when you go for this extra version that I built that has the internal spacers in it. So when you don't have the internal spacers, then you put these 3 screws in the front. So you have that slot port, like a panel like this, going on the side. So maybe let me just grab a CD. So a panel, there's a wooden panel inside that's in this orientation that runs across the whole length, the whole depth of the loudspeaker cabinet, and it's in right here, and that creates the port. Oh, sorry, you can't see a thing. So it runs here across the whole length on the inside. So imagine this on the inside of the cabinet. And I have a little spacer, wooden spacer here to hold it in space, and the screw across the spacer running into the slot port that holds it there. Now, if you do that basic build, then you don't have that spacer on the inside, so you cannot screw it from the side, but you screw it from the front. So then you would place those 3 screws from the front. And the criteria for those, where you want to put them, is, let me just remove the camera from here so you can see it better. Okay, removing it from the stand. Ta-da, success. So if you have a look at it, you see that they are spaced so they are not at the same height, because if you would put them at the same height, they would clash with each other. However, when you mount it in the front, I'm getting tangled up on with my microphone cables. Help. Okay, not yet. Okay, now I got myself untangled from the tripod. Oh, look what's happening there. Okay, so we saw some cat action. So when you put the slot without the internal spacer as in the basic build, then you put these screws here on the front. So these are the ones that are holding the slot port in place. And the same thing is happening on the back side. So these are about the instructions for the screws and how you build your cabinet. And thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful day, and if you decide to build these speakers, then you will have a very happy and interesting journey. So thank you guys. Please like, subscribe, and if you like what I'm doing and like to support me, then check out that Buy Me a Coffee link and you can donate. And by the way, since I started Buy Me a Coffee about a month ago, I've been just receiving just crazy super generous donations, and thank you, huge thank you. I really wasn't expecting this level of support. So we have just so much coffee that even Machi is, you can see her belly, she is stuffed with coffee. So thank you so much for your support. It is really helping me a lot. And have a wonderful day. Bye bye.